Hey, and welcome to Board of Life News for November 29th. Today I'm going to talk about Smash City, Tsuro Phoenix Rising, Subtext, Spacegate Odyssey, and the Kickstarter for QE. Let's get to it. Smash City is a new game coming out from WizKids Games. This is a kaiju battle dexterity game where you have giant foam dice that represent your different kaiju monsters, and you're rolling them into a city trying to cause maximum destruction, knock over buildings, crush cars, all that kind of stuff. Each kaiju has like different powers and different power-ups and things like that. So, interesting, fun, seems like a light, fun game. Rampage, that got renamed as Terra and Meeple City, that came out a couple years ago, was also a dexterity kaiju game, although a different kind. That one was a little bit kind of too many rules for me for a dexterity game. It was a thing where I felt like I was doing a lot of stuff that wasn't just knocking stuff over, so hopefully this one is kind of just more focused on the fun of the dexterity aspect, I guess. Yeah. Tsuro Phoenix Rising is coming from Calliope Games. This is the newest kind of iteration of Tsuro. Tsuro came out in, I think, 2004, way back. And then Tsuro of the Seas came out in 2012, which was kind of like a new envisioning. This one's Tsuro Phoenix Rising is going to keep the core of the game where you're laying tiles that create pathways that then your pawns move along and you're just trying to stay on the board while knocking other pawns off the board. But this one's going to add in double-sided tiles that can flip and rotate during the game, which will change all the pathways and routes. It also adds a couple of new things, including I think there's a token that lets you rise from the dead like a phoenix, so after you've died one time, you can one time come back on the board. Tsuro's a great game. I don't ever feel like I need more of it. I feel like I'm pretty happy with Tsuro as it is, but, you know, I guess new audience for this? I don't know. Subtext is coming from Pegasus Spiel. This is a new Wolfgang Warsch game. Wolfgang Warsch has been just on fire lately, releasing an insane amount of games to a lot of critical acclaim. So in this one, this is a drawing game, kind of like Pictionary, but there's like you deal everybody a card if you're the person that draws, but you're only drawing one of those cards, right? So everybody has a different card, but one of them says dog, and you're trying to draw a dog. And the goal is that you draw something well enough that the person who has the card that says dog realizes you're trying to draw a dog, but not so well that everybody that has a random word that you're not drawing doesn't realize that it's dog. So you're trying to, like, work around it. This sounds a lot like A Fake Artist Goes to New York, which was an Oink game from a couple years back, where, but that's kind of like a group game. This sounds like a new iteration where it's only one person drawing. It sounds interesting, it sounds fun, it sounds silly. And it's also continuing Wolfgang Warsch's kind of trend on making these weird games where the fun is like between the rules of the game, where I guess that's true for all games, but kind of like there's this weird, like with The Mind or Fuji or those kind of games where there's more to the game than like the game itself. It's funnier, it's weirder. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but sounds like a game Wolfgang Warsch would make. Spacegate Odyssey is coming from Ludonate Games. This is a tile-laying root-building game where you've discovered a bunch of exoplanets and you're trying to colonize those, and the way you colonize those is by like laying tiles where you go through like warp gates and airlocks and stuff to get to the planets. I'm a big fan of tile-laying games. The thing that really caught my eye on this one is Vincent Dutrait did the artwork. He's my favorite board game artist. Like always, the artwork is just absolutely stunning, so tile-laying and Vincent Dutrait, I'm definitely checking this one out. Not a lot more info on it, so I don't have much more info than that. But again, you know, if Vincent Dutrait does the artwork, I'm going to talk about it. This week's Kickstarter is for QE. QE is a game that came out a couple years ago in like crazy woodwork, handmade copies because the designer is also a woodworker. So there were only a few copies ever made. Now it's getting like a larger edition that's just kind of a more standard game. It's an auction game, but the twist is you can bid unlimited money. Like, there's no... money is not finite. It's you can bid $8 on something, or you can bid $8 trillion on something, and there's nothing stopping you from doing that. The only catch is that whoever spends the most money in the game can't win the game. So if you bid $8 trillion on everything, you don't win, and the person who would naturally be in second place would win the game. So there's this weird, like... inflation that can sometimes happen in the game where like numbers keep getting bigger and bigger, sometimes it doesn't. It's interesting. There's also a slight bluffing aspect because only you and the dealer know how much you bid. So the dealer changes, so you don't have complete information on what everybody's bid, so you can kind of bluff a little bit. So it's kind of just an interesting take on a auction game. It is $34 right now on Kickstarter. If that sounds interesting to you, go back that. Alright, that's the news this week. Thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, as well as follow me on social media. I'm at Chris Bryan Games on Instagram and Twitter, and check out my Patreon, linked in the description below. If you want to throw a buck my way, that's very much appreciated. So I missed the last 2 weeks due to Board Game Geek Con that I was at, and then I was planning on doing an episode for Thanksgiving, but I was sick leading up to Thanksgiving, so I wasn't able to. So this is going to be the last episode, traditional Board with Life news episode of the year, because I need to take December off for travel and relaxing and that kind of stuff. So I'll be back in January like normal, doing it every week. But I have one more episode, and that's the holiday stocking stuffer gift guide that I do every year, so it won't be a news episode. It'll be 10 recommendations for games that cost about $20 or less and could fit in a stocking, even though those parameters are pretty loose. I kind of just recommend some games that would be good gifts that are more affordable. They're not, you know, $50 or whatever. So make sure you tune in next week for that, and I'll see you next year.